And going live, going once, twice, you're live. Hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way, everybody. And tonight we have another great Native American Myths and Legends show with my guest and special guest as always, and my co-host. I shouldn't even say your guest, your co-host. David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Greetings and blessings, everybody, and it's always good to see you. And we always greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator.
Absolutely. And we got a whole house full of people showing up. We got Isby's in the house and Elderberry's in the house. Andrew Phillips, Susie Q, David Castle, Pamela Jean, Jill Jarrett. We got a whole mess of people in here. Andrew Phillips, I'm going to bed shortly. Oh, well, I'm glad you could pop in for a little bit. But anyway, we're going to talk about this guy in the canoe tonight. We're going to talk about canoes. Oh, that's still up there. And okay, so what we got tonight is we're going to talk about canoes, how they're built, what they do. I got a few things. You know, it was really hard to find stuff on canoes.
Really?
Yes, it was. Okay, hang on. I got to get up for a second. Okay, I had to get my book out of the scanner. I had scanned a bunch of stuff. And as normal, I have put together for you all a great show because we have pictures tonight. Yes, we do.
Really?
Yes, we do. And okay, I should be sharing this, and this is bigger. Oh, your screen is paused. Well, I guess I did that wrong. Let's try it again. And voila. Yeah, there we go. Now we're seeing, you see this, the canoes and stuff. Okay, we're going to start here. Canoes 1. Okay, you see it? See the one page, or do you still see the whole bunch?
The whole bunch?
You see the whole bunch?
Yeah.
Ah, crap. Well, I did that wrong. Let's try this one more time, everybody. Okay.
It was
now,
really clear, though.
You see one big canoe now?
Yes.
Ah, okay. I'm glad this is working out. Okay. So what do we have tonight? We're talking about canoes. How did the Native Americans, matter of fact, anybody, get around in the days before cars, horses, buggies? You know, you have your own 2 feet and you can walk around, right? But the rivers and the streams and the oceans were nature's highway to get around to where you needed to go. So people built canoes. The Native Americans made canoes from trees, burning and carving them out. I hope y'all can see that. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and as big as I can. Make it a little bit bigger. Put it that way. There we go. Native Americans made it from burning out, carving out the hull. Canoes is a form of transportation used by Native American tribes that live rivers, lakes, oceans. The construction style of the canoe varies from region to region, but is most often dugout and bark styles. Indians built these birch bark canoes by trial and error. Once they discovered a working form of the boat that has not been improved much. Today's canoes look similar to the original native canoes. Dugout canoes are formed from a hollow logs. The type of wood used depends on the trees available in the region. In colder northern region, dugout canoes often featured a closed deck to protect from the elements. So that's a pretty big canoe. On the West Coast, larger open canoes were common. In the Pacific Northwest, some canoes were built as large as 100 feet long and 7 feet wide and could hold up to 60 people. Bark canoes are constructed of saplings, frames covered in bark. Birch bark is very popular for both its durability and its relatively lightweight. The common canoe layout features high sides and ends to keep the vessel from taking on water in rough seas. The design of the canoe has changed little over history of the Native Americans, although we know this primarily thought in sketches of early European explorers. Canoe materials are biodegradable and very few archaeological remains have been discovered. Okay, and which Native American tribes were best at building, or the best, I'm blowing this up so you guys can see it, the best canoe builders? The most impressive dugout canoes were made by the Northwest Coast tribes like the Haida and the Tinglet, yeah, who used the sophisticated wood carving and blending techniques to turn cedar and redwood trees into 50-foot long war canoes capable of withstanding oceans. Are canoes still used today? Canoes are now widely used for competition and pleasure, such as racing, whitewater touring, and camping. Freestyle general recreation, canoe has been part of the Olympics since 1936. The intended use of the canoe dictates its hull, shape, length, construction, and material. What came first, the canoe or the kayak? The kayak probably originates from Greenland, where it was used by the Eskimos, while the canoe was used all over the world. The kayak, meaning man boat in Eskimo, was found predominantly in the northern part of the world, North America, Siberia, and Greenland. What are dugout canoes made of? Dugout canoes were made by Native Americans across North and South America for transportation and hunting, fishing with a spear, bow, arrows, or with hooks made from antler or bones. In Eastern North America, dugout canoes were typically made from a single log of chestnut or pine. What are Native American canoes made of? Canoes are made of bark, animal skins, or wood. By far the sturdiest construction and the most time-consuming, if not most difficult for American Indians, was the dugout canoe. Making a dugout canoe was a gigantic task requiring considerable organizational and planning. Oh, let's see, here we go. More difficult than a kayaking in reality. However, both kayaks and canoes require training and experience. A kayaker will need the skills to keep the craft afloat when the winds and the waves become rough. Is canoeing hard? Canoeing is not difficult. Solo canoeing and tandem canoeing require you to learn different paddling techniques, though you can learn how to paddle at the front of a two-person canoe in about 30 minutes, and you can learn how to paddle from a rear of a two-person canoe in about 2 hours or less. What is the oldest canoe in the world? Paizo canoe is believed to be the world's oldest known boat. Then certainly the oldest known canoe. Carbon dating indicates that the boat was constructed during the early Mesozoic period between 8040 BC and 7510 BC. It is now in the Drents Museum in Aston, Netherlands. Did Native Americans have boats? For many Native American tribes, boats were a pretty key part of their survival for hunting and fishing. They needed good boats, so they came up with some truly ingenious designs to accomplish these tasks better. What trees did Indians use to make canoes? The tribes built canoes made from the bark of the birch trees over a wooden frame. These canoes were broad enough to float down in shallow streams, strong enough to shoot dangerous rapids, and light enough for one man to easily carry a canoe on his back. Okay, and here we got the building of a birch bark canoe. The bark could be harvested in one or two ways, either by felling a tree. This permits you to strip it easily and make real sense if you intend to use the wood of your tree in construction, or by stripping it from a standing tree. A birch tree is selected for straightness, smoothness, freedom from knots and limbs, toughness of bark, and size. Though it is not important, as you will likely need a piece out the sides. Bark can be peeled when the sap is flowing or when the tree is not frozen. At any time in late spring, summer, and early fall. It is called summer bark, or in winter during the thaw again, when the tree is not frozen and when the sap has begun to flow. Summer bark peels readily, is smooth inside, and is a yellow color, which turns reddish when exposed to the sun. Winter bark adheres closely to the tree and often brings up part of the inner bark, which is exposure turns dark red. This rough surface ought to be moistened and scraped away. After the bark has been peeled, inside the surface can be warmed with a torch, which softens and makes it supple. The torch was often made of a bundle of birch bark wound around a stick. The harvest bark is then rolled up like a carpet with the inside surface out, tightly bound, and carried to the work site. Lay it in the shade where the sunshine will not harden it. The first effect of heat is to make it pliant, but long exposure to heat or dry atmosphere makes it hard and brittle. The gunwales of the canoe are composed of 4 lengths of cedar or similar wood, about a 1/4 inch thick by an inch or more width, 2 for each side, 1 to go on the inside edge, 1 for the outside edge, and the width and the shape of the vessel is determined by the length of the cross pieces used in separating the sides of the gunwale frame. Lay the bark on flat ground with the weathered side up, weigh the center down with several good-sized round stones. The part forms the bottom of the canoe, should be the whole piece, is not large enough pieces of the bark are sewn into it. So I guess you can see a little bit of how they got it. They're just pretty much enrolling it in the, ain't the greatest picture in the world, but hey, you know. Okay, Native Indian canoes. Facts and history about the lifestyle. Oh, you know, I just want to ask you, you have a canoe, right?
Yes, and kayaks.
Oh, you do. So you canoe and kayak and all that good stuff too.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. See,
and I'm going to be hitting the river soon too. We were in my back. I got the Little Ochlockonee Rivers in my backyard, and we were on the river about a week ago, floating up and down in the backyard. It's beautiful.
Nice, 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 nice. Okay, I'm going to get back to reading this. Native Indian canoes, facts and history about the life and lifestyles of Native American Indians. Indian canoes were the primary method of transportation by many tribes of the North America who relied on them for hunting, fishing, and trading expeditions. 3 main types of canoes were built: dugout, birch bark, and tule, reed canoes, and their designs were based on natural resources available in the different regions in the Northeast woodlands, and the tribes of Eastern Canada built canoes made from the bark of trees. Birch bark canoe tribes in the North Pacific Coast, California, and the Plateau regions built dugout canoes. Some California tribes built canoes made from reeds. And there you go. Okay, let's go to the next page. Native Indian canoes, fact 1. The different tribes across the length of the breadth of North America developed their own style and designs of canoes of many hundreds of years. Native Indian canoes, fact 2. The most common styles of canoe were the dugout canoe and the birch bark canoe. 3. The dugout canoe was made from hollowed out log, large tree, such as a cedar. Native Americans used controlled fire or steaming to soften the wood so they could carve and shape their dugout canoe and have it straight sides of the flat bottom. Well, that I didn't know. 4, the birch bark canoe was lighter than the dugout and made use of wooden framework and a tough paper-like bark peel from a birch tree. 5, the sizes of the boats varied according to reason they were built. A canoe could take a few as one person, although they were usually built to take between 4 and 6 people. 6, the smaller type of canoe was used for transportation purposes along the many waterways of lands for hunting and fishing trips. 7, the smaller boat was also used for trading expeditions with enough capacity to take on cargo and trade goods. 8, a typical birch bark canoe measures about 21 feet long and 3 feet wide and could carry 4 to 6 men and about 200 pounds of cargo. Wow, that's a big one. 9, the other boats were used to transport war parties, mounting attacks on enemy tribes. The dugout war canoe, all built by the Northwest Pacific coastal tribes, were up to 60 feet long and took up to 2 years to build. Now that's a lot of work. 10, some tribes used the boats for recreation and sports. The picture at the top of the page picks a race. I don't know. I don't have the picture. So 11, the tribes who built the travel in birch bark canoes also included the Abenaki, Chippewa, Ojibwe, Huron, Kickapoo, Pennacook, Northeast Woodlands tribes, and other woodland tribes used both the birch bark and dugout style canoes. And as you can see, here's some different style canoes. I'm going to blow this up for you. If it'll let me. Native canoes 14. The distinctive Northwest canoes were long and narrow and made from a single red cedar log. They were built in different sizes for transportation along rivers, and also bigger canoe was often highly decorated with crest designs painted black and red. Native 15. The orient, bow, and stern pieces were carved and added separately to the canoes, often depicting the heads of mythical and symbolic creatures. 16. A more basic style of dugout canoe was built by the tribes who inhabited the plateau region, including I don't even know how to say that one. Coeur d'Alene, Nez Perce, Cowes, Modoc, Palouse, Spokane, Walla Walla, and the Yamaka. Yamaka. The 17, Lewis and Clark expedition received help from the Nez Perce tribe to build dugout canoes, and dugout canoes enabled the corpse of Discovery to float downstream from the Clearwater River in Idaho to the Snake River and into the Columbia River in the state of Washington. Wow. See, now I didn't know that. I always pictured him in like these birch bark canoes, but they were in dugout canoes. Lewis and Clark. Go figure. Okay, 18. The California Chumash tribe were great fishermen and constructed a distinctive type of plank, 30-foot long seagoing canoe called a tomol. The Californian tribes built canoes made from reeds, referred to as tulu canoe. Tulu canoe. Fact number 19, the different types of canoes were propelled by either paddling or pulling, depending on the design of the boat and the nature of the water. Native Americans, or 20, Native Americans with no knowledge of the wheel used the canoe to cross the waterways of North America. And as you can see, these are like the three types. Here's the Northwest canoe, all fancy looking with paddles. And here's a plateau dugout canoe, simple design, very simple design. So there we go. And here you can see them. They are burning out a canoe, which, probably took forever because they didn't have axes and stuff. They had to burn it and chip away a little piece. That must have been one dirty ass job, because I tell you.
And sweaty.
Yes. And here's the big canoe, a big one. Holy cow. Now you could fit a whole tribe on that one there. As you can see, they really put a lot of work into that. And here we go. Transportation of dugout canoes. Dugout canoes, the most complex canoe used by the native peoples of America is the birch bark. Yet in many respects, dugout canoe equals or excels it is one piece of wood and is much more sustainable than the bark canoe, which taken in all is a fragile vessel. Yeah, I don't know if you ever seen a birch bark canoe, but I wouldn't want to step through the bottom of one.
Nope.
Okay, most Indian canoes were lightweight, small, and fast. Though the Iroquois built their canoes in lengths of 30 feet, these were used to uphold up to 18 passengers or to help move merchandise. An advantage over a row of boats is while in a canoe, you face forward in the direction of travel. Canoe designs varied from tribe to tribe, but each canoe took quite a bit of talent to produce. Some were sewn together, while others used spruce gum for caulking. Carving was essential, and some burned the sides or the insides of the canoe to help it become waterproof. I hope you guys that's all there was there. I got pictures here. There's a guy, see, he made a little boat, a little canoe, and he's hunting from his canoe. I guess that works. He must be carp fishing. you know. Oh, these are the ones we talked about the other week or something like that. They made this container and then they stretched buffalo skin around it like a big bowl, and then they would float down the river with their goods and stuff. So that was another type of way to go. And here, this is one of those carved out dugout canoes. They even put sails on there. Look at that, all fancy with decorations and big sides. They put a lot of work into that. That is definitely a boat. Here's a birch bark canoe. You can see how it's kind of sewn in the front together, and if you really look hard, you can see the ribbing inside. That looks like an old picture too. So that's like a 1 or 2 man canoe, eh?
Yep.
And here's a better shot of one. That one looks a lot more fancy. You can see the sewing in the front, the sewing on the sides of this wood, and then the framing inside the canoe to hold it together. I don't know. I think, boy, they put a lot of work into that. A canoe must. Here's a guy building one out of one piece of wood. Guess you wouldn't want it to crack. But I bet you it was heavy to drag around, you know?
Yes, sir.
I mean, one big ass log, geez. Yeah. And if it cracks, boy, whew. Yeah, so anyway, there you go. I put it in a little bit bigger, but one giant, that's a big ass log, you know?
And think of how big the tree was to get that out of.
Okay, and here we have a canoe and a museum. And you can see how small that log is. That's really not a very big log. I mean, it doesn't really look like it's that big, just big enough to sit in. And then, of course, there's a picture that shows these people, but either they were really tiny or whatever. But yeah, it's just a log. I mean, it's small. I mean, you sit in it, you better not tip over because there's like, you know, I wouldn't think it would be too stable.
Well, you see that they're poling it with poles.
Yep.
And so, you know, it wasn't for river rafting. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Low waters along the edge of marshes and things, you know. And with a pole, they're remarkably stable, believe it or not.
Yep. We got a plank canoe. The California Chumash made plank canoes, which they took out on the ocean for quick travel and to fish. Cedar carved canoes, dugouts in the Pacific Northwest carvers were trained by their ancestor to be carvers, so they passed it down. The most common type of canoe, river, okay, we did all of that. Today, they're built out of aluminum, fiberglass, Kevlar, and inflatable PVC. Canoes have different seating capacities. We all know that. Did Native Americans decorate their canoes? Native Americans led the way in engineering the canoe as we know it today. They used natural materials to the full extent, even taking advantage of property of birch bark in creating their decorative designs. Is kayaking easier than canoeing? Because of the common inclination to canoe without training, many beginners find canoeing more difficult than kayaking. It is in reality, however, both kayaks and canoes require training and experience. A kayaker will need the skills to keep the craft afloat when winds and waves become rough. Is canoeing hard? Canoeing is not difficult. Solo canoeing and tandem canoeing require you to learn different paddling techniques, though. You can learn to paddle at the front, 2-person canoe in about 30 minutes, and you can learn in the rear for 2-person in 2 hours or less. So there you go. And that is it for me. Look at that. All fine and dandy, ain't I? Putting together that stuff. Oh, we got a whole crowd of people in here. We got Max Visions in the house. Hey, and Divine Empress, Project Skyfalls, David Castle. Let's see, Deborah Sloan. Oh my God, Saturnian Sun. We got all kinds of people. Lucky Smith's in the house. Kayaks are better than canoes. I'm so humble opinion. Okay, well, each his own. We got Delaney Pearl Jones, who will be on here Saturday, and Michelle Can-Am-Free is our love girl. So much love to you, Michelle. And Jill Jarrett. Oh, I think I knew Jill Jarrett's been in here from the beginning. The Yashumash tribe is where I live, Central Coast, California. Wow, Jill Jarrett. Woo, that's pretty darn cool. I tell you, what we could, we should all be out there exploring this. And if like last week, I had pictures of the Indian dugout house or whatever you could call it, their house. If that stuff is in your area and you see it, I would appreciate you taking a picture and sending it to me for that kind of stuff. You see those big old dugout canoes, just because, it's cool to get that stuff off the internet, but for the real thing, that would be awesome.
Yep.
So what do you think about canoeing or kayaking? Which is the better?
I like them both, and they're kind of sort of equal in a way. A kayak is more personal. It's a one-person vehicle, where a canoe, I've got a 17.5-foot canoe, a Mohawk, by the way, but a long-standing good canoe. But the canoe allows you to stand up because it's so wide. And being that I'm down here in the swamp, there are times when in shallow water, you do stand up like that picture with the Indian and the pole. But I got clothes on. He didn't. I'm sorry that I would observe something like that. But but in low areas like the Cajuns and other folks that live in really true swamps that have water all the time, sometimes a canoe is best because it's nice and flat and wide. You can stand up in it, you can pole around in it, and if you're catching alligators, having a 17-foot long canoe is really handy because you can throw in them, you can throw a 9-footer in your canoe easy. So, and with room left over. But the kayak is a lot of fun for personal, whatever. If you need to travel from place to place, you can get there. But I have tested myself, and it's not any harder for me to paddle that canoe than it is a kayak. It just isn't. But the canoe is bigger and more stable and that kind of thing. But there are people, I also say people should try a kayak because they're a blast. And they just are. And if the water's not too rough or too swift, y'all try one. It's a ball.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know I've been looking at those ones that they have, those big giant plastic ones they have in Tractor Supply or Farm and Fleet or something like that. And they're like a 2-personer, and you can get out there and like a little small fishing boat type thing, but they're I don't know what they call them, but they're not very big. They're kind of flat bottom. And I was thinking, wow, that'd be kind of neat to get one of those and just go cruising down the river, It'd be a fun day.
I bought one of mine from Tractor Supply, by the way, and it's now I can't remember the name of it, but it's a 10.5, and it's flatter than the other ones that I've had and much more stable. And the videos that I've done with Duggar and me he's sitting in my lap in that one that I got from Tractor Supply. And I don't know, it was around $200 ish, a little more, but for the amount of fun, and I've had it for years. So there are people who say, well, I just rent one. Okay, well, you rent one a couple of times, you paid for one.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to go, you can go anywhere you can put in then versus having to go somewhere. Well, I got to go this place because they rent them. If I had my own, I could go anywhere. Well, that's the beauty of having a kayak too. So, but anyway, also about traveling, we spent the afternoon. I wanted to check out my truck, and I haven't checked this one camping spot out over on the Flint River. So we rode over there to check my truck out, come back. And the river is up, it looks good and all that over on the Flint River. But I was thinking about the many times that I've been there, and that the Flint River used to be for paddle boats. So Bainbridge, which is called the port city, was where three rivers came together on the Georgia, Florida, Alabama line. And then the Apalachicola goes on down through into Florida and out to the ocean at Apalachicola Bay, where the town of Apalachicola is. So, but to the point though, a lot of folks don't know how much traffic there was on those rivers in the old days. If the Indians traveled them to get to the ocean, because in the wintertime they would fish and dry fish and stuff like that, and paddle them back up these rivers if they could. So especially the Flint, which goes all the way up to Atlanta, you know, so you could get on up there north of Macon-ish and get on it and go all the way to the ocean. So and going south, you didn't have to paddle, you just had to steer. Also, they made rafts.
Oh yeah, I imagine raft would be better, pretty easy to make too.
Right. So if they just needed to do some crossing or something, or maybe they crossed a river a lot and back and forth, they built a raft. And so just like in a lot of other countries where they had the ferryman, they put a rope across the river and they would pull people back and forth across the river. So that was less common, but they did it because they had to. The river's too tall, they wanted to get across for whatever reason. And so they had those kinds of things too, but because they're made out of wood, you don't see them. You know, and white men came along and it just got ignored. You know what I mean? But anyway.
Yeah.
They were very creative peoples. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So what do you got for us tonight?
Well, I couldn't find any canoe stories, but I did find some water stories.
Wow.
Which,
there
you know,
that works for me.
It is sort of related, but not. So are you ready with finding a page?
Well, I just need to know what page. I got
okay,
it all
go
pulled
to
up.
about 107.
All right. Get my little cursor going here, and we're going to go to 107. 104. That was a pretty good guess. 6 and 7. The Earth Dragon.
Yep.
Okay. The Earth Dragon.
All right. I'm not quite ready. Let me wipe my glasses.
You take your time.
Find my other pair. I was listening and wasn't paying attention to what I needed to get done. But as far as kayaks and canoes and stuff like that, my friend from the Tlingit tribe up in Alaska, he told me because he was from there and relatives and all, and grew up there as a kid. He said they would use seal skins.
Oh yeah.
To make the kayaks out of, little personal kayaks. And he said they stretch the seal skins and sometimes a walrus skin instead of birch bark or whatever. And he said they are very durable, very durable. And he said, you know, depending on who built it, which does make sense, you know, how they bent the wood to make the frame, and of course how they covered it.
Yeah.
But he said that that some of the tribes members still had some of the old kayaks from the early 20s and 30s of this century. Well, actually, I guess it was last century now. But anyway, it was amazing to hear him talk about how his brother, and I've got a couple of his letters, how his brother is out in his little sealskin kayak out in the bay off of the coast of Alaska, and watching the whales and the porpoise breaking water and following schools of fish and him literally being right on the water. And
Wow.
I'm right on the water in my kayak, but I ain't in the ocean.
Ah, yeah, the ocean. There's big stuff out there. Hey,
Well, not only that, but
yeah,
it's the ocean.
that
So,
is true. I agree with you
it's
there.
the ocean, okay? But but anyway, so I don't know if I would have enough guts to like throw my kayak in the ocean and just head off.
Yeah,
Maybe. But
that's a little bit. I hate to burst your bubble, but the Earth Dragon, we just did that one here not too long ago.
did we?
Yes, we did. I made a short out of it. That's why I know I just made a short out of it not too long ago.
Oh, because
yeah.
I've got this mark. Whoa, maybe okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pick another one. People be
Go 2
thinking,
pages down then.
okay. The people brought in a basket. Nice.
Yeah, maybe I had the wrong one.
Okay. Well, that's all right. It doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, when I see the dragon, I'm like, I just made that video.
Maybe that's why it looks familiar to me. I was like, but I also had a bookmark with a piece of paper too. So anyway.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go with people brought in a basket.
Yeah.
Because that was my next one in line anyway.
That's how about that? Look at there. There we go. People brought in a basket.
And this is the Modoc. Kumash, old man of the ancients, went down with his daughter to the underground world of the spirits. It was a beautiful world, reached by one long, steep road. In it were many spirits, as many as all the stars in the sky and all the hairs on all the animals in the world. When night came, the spirits gathered in a great plain to sing and dance. When daylight came, they returned to their places in the house, lay down, and became dry bones. After 6 days and 6 nights in the land of the spirits, Kumash longed for the sun. He decided to return to the upper world and to take some of the spirits with him to people his world. With a big basket in hand, he went through the house of the spirits and chose the bones he wished to take. Some of the bones he thought would be good for one tribe of people and others for another. When he had filled his basket, Kumash strapped it to his back and together with his daughter started up the steep road to the upper world. Near the top, he slipped and stumbled, and the basket fell to the ground. At once, the bones became spirits again. Shouting and singing, they ran back to their house in the spirit world, lay down and became dry bones. A second time, Kumash filled his basket with bones and started towards the upper world. A second time, he slipped, and the spirits shouting and singing returned to the underworld. A third time, he filled his basket with bones. This time, he spoke to them angrily. You just think you want to stay here. When you see my land, a land where the sun shines, you'll never want to come back to this place. There are no people up there, and I know I'll get lonesome again. A third time, Kumash and his daughter started up the steep and slippery road with their basket. When he came near the edge of the upper world, he threw the basket out ahead of him onto level ground. Indian bones, he called out. Then he uncovered the basket and selected the bones for the kinds of Indians he wanted in certain places. As he threw them, he named them. You shall be the Shastas, he said to the bones he threw westward. You shall be brave warriors. You shall also be brave warriors, he said, to the Pit River Indians and the Warm Spring Indians. To the bones he threw a short distance northward, he said, you shall be the Klamath Indians. You will be as easy to frighten as women are. You won't be good warriors. Last of all, he threw the bones, which became the Modoc Indians. To them he said, you will be the bravest of all. You will be my chosen people. Though you'll be a small tribe, and though your enemies are many, you will kill all who come against you. You kill, keep my place when I have gone. I, Kumash, have spoken. To all the people created from the bones of the spirits, Kumash said, you must send certain men to the mountains. There they must ask to be made brave or to be made wise. There, if they ask for it, they will be given the power to help themselves and to help all of you. Then Kumash named the different kinds of fish and the beasts that the people should eat. As he spoke their names, they appeared in the rivers and lakes, on the plains and in the forests. He named the roots and the berries and the plants that the people should eat. He thought, and they appeared. He divided the world, the work of the people, by making this law. Men shall hunt and fish and fight. Women shall get wood and water, gather berries and dig roots, and cook for their families. This is my law. So Kumash finished the upper world and his work in it. Then with his daughter, he went to the place where the sun shines, at the eastern edge of the world. He traveled along the sun's road until he reached the middle of the sky. There he built a house for himself and his daughter. They live even today. There they live even today. Reported by Ella Clark in 1953.
Well, ain't that nice? Ah,
So,
hey, Jules is in the house, and Linda Brooks and Max G. Thank y'all for coming. It's making a good evening. But that was a good, that's a good story. That was like almost a creation story. I do like those. You notice how they're always like even in the Bible, you know, God spoke and it says, you know, he said the word and then he, you know, he made all the animals. Well, this is what this one's saying, the same thing too, kind of in a funny sort of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of neat. It's too busy trying to. Good one, Jules. Good one. I'd like to read that, but that's a little too funny. Lucky Smith says, I kayaked by the bay and ran into a seal. It was weird. Yeah, he's got a go check out Lucky Smith's channel. He's got one of them paddlers. What is it called? I can't remember what the name of it's called, and I just it's on the tip of my tongue. It's yellow, and it's help me out, Lucky Smith. Jeez. Anyway, go check out his channel. He puts it together. He's got an unboxing, and then he goes for a trip on there. It's pretty cool. Origami. Is it origami paddler? Something like that. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Or origami. Anyway, either way, what's up next?
All right, we're going to go to 111. The next story up.
111.
Great medicine makes a beautiful country.
Oh, there we go. Okay. And there we go. Great medicine makes a beautiful country. Love it.
Oakley dokley. Great medicine makes a beautiful country. Cheyenne. In this epic tale, a number of different incidents in Cheyenne history from the last 400 years are all merged into a single account of a tribe's evolution, told in terms of great migrations, tragic losses, and natural disasters. In the beginning, the great medicine created the earth and the waters upon the earth and the sun, moon, and stars. Then He made a beautiful country to spring up in the far north. There were no winters with ice and snow and bitter cold. It was always spring. Wild fruits and berries grew everywhere. The great trees shaded the streams of clear water that flowed through the land. In this beautiful country, the great medicine put animals, birds, insects, and fish of all kinds. Then he created human beings to live with the other creatures. Every animal, big and small, every bird, big and small, every fish and every insect could talk to the people and understand them. The people could understand each other, for they had a common language and lived in friendship. They went naked and fed on honey and wild fruits. They were never hungry. They wandered everywhere among the wild animals, and when night came and they were weary, they lay down on the cool grass and slept. During the days, they talked with the other animals, for they were all friends. The Great Spirit created three kinds of human beings. First, those who had hair all over their bodies. Second, white men who had hair all over their heads and faces and on their legs. Third, red men who had very long hair on their heads only. The hairy people were strong and active. The white people with the long beards were in a class with the wolf, for both were the trickiest and most cunning creatures in that beautiful world. The red people were good runners, agile and swift, whom the great medicine taught to catch and eat fish at a time when none of the other people knew about eating meat. After a while, the hairy people left the north country and went south, where all the land was barren. Then the red people prepared to follow the hairy people into the south. Before they left the beautiful land, however, the great medicine called them together. On this occasion, the first time the red people had all assembled in one place, the great medicine blessed them and gave them some medicine spirit to awaken their dormant minds. From that time on, they seemed to possess intelligence and know what to do. The great medicine singled out one of the men and told him to teach his people to band together so that they all could work and clothe their naked bodies with skins of panther and bear and deer. The great medicine gave them the power to hew and shape flint and other stones in any shape they wanted, into arrow and spearheads, and into cups and pots and axes. The red people stayed together ever afterwards. They left the beautiful country and went southward in the same direction the hairy people had taken. The hairy people remained naked, but the red people clothed themselves because the great medicine had told them so. When the red men arrived in the south, they found that the hairy people had made homes inside of hills and in caves high up in the mountains. They seldom saw the hairy men, for the hairy ones were afraid and went inside their caves when the red men came. The hairy people had pottery and flint tools like those of the red men, and in their caves they slept on beds made out of leaves and skins. For some reason, they decreased in numbers until they finally disappeared entirely, and today the red men cannot tell what became of them. After the red men had lived in the south for some time, the great medicine told them to return north, for the barren southland was going to be flooded. When they went back to the beautiful northern land, they found that the white-skinned, long-bearded men and some of the wild animals were gone. They were no longer able to talk to the animals, but this time they controlled all other creatures, and they taught the panther, the bear, and similar beasts to catch game for them. They increased in numbers and became tall and strong and active. Then for a second time, the red people left the beautiful land to go south. The waters had gone, the grass and trees had grown, and the country had become as beautiful as the north. While they were living there, however, another flood swept over the land and scattered the red men. When the great waters at last sank and the ground was dry, the red people did not come together again. They traveled in small bands, just as they had done in the beginning, before the great medicine told them to unite. The great flood destroyed almost everything, and they were on the point of starvation. So they started back to their original home in the north, as they had done before. But when they reached the north country this time, they found the land all barren. There were no trees, no living animals, not a fish in the water. When the red people looked upon their once beautiful home, the men cried aloud, and all the women and children wept. This happened in the beginning, when the great medicine created us. The people returned to the south and lived as well as they could, and in some years better, in others worse. After many hundreds of years, just before the winter season came, the earth shook, and the high hills sent forth fire and smoke. During that winter, there were great floods. The people had to dress in furs and live in caves, for the winter was long and cold. It destroyed all the trees, though when spring had come, there was a new growth. The red men suffered much and were almost famished when the great medicine took pity on them. He gave them corn to plant and buffalo for meat. And from that time, there were no more floods and no more famine. The people continued to live in the South, and they grew and increased. There were many different bands with different languages, for the red men were never united after the second flood. The descendants of the original Cheyenne had men among them who were magicians with supernatural wisdom. They charmed not only their own people, but also the animals that they lived on. No matter how fierce or wild the beast, it became so tame that people could go up and handle it. This magic knowledge was handed down from the original Cheyenne, who came from the far north. Today, Bushyhead is the only one who understands that ancient ceremony, and the Cheyenne consider him equal in rank to the medicine arrow keeper and his assistants, based on a George A. Dorsey account in 1905. In this remarkable tale is stored the memory of much that has happened to the Cheyenne over many hundreds of years. It symbolically relates how they were once driven from their old hunting grounds in the North Central America in the late 1600s, probably by the Ojibwe, who had firearms from their French allies. It also describes the 18th or 19th century division of the Cheyenne into two separate bands, one of which, the Sutai, will still retain certain ceremonial roles. The gaining and losing of corn may symbolize their giving up planting for buffalo hunting in the last half of the 18th century. The tale reflects, as well as the Cheyenne's ever-present yearning for the cool, beautiful North Country after white authorities removed the whole tribe to a hot and unhealthy reservation in the South, following the Little Bighorn. It was from this sorry existence that in the late 1880s, Dull Knife led a group of sick and starving people on their back to North Montana, where those who survived were permitted at last to remain.
Wow. Well, ain't that a good one? That was a really good story. I sure enjoyed that one.
And you know, for all the creation stories we have read and still continue to read and find and here and there, but there's always a flood. There's
There's
always a flood.
always a flood. It
At
sounded
least one. This one had two floods, but you know,
it sounded like they were in the Garden of Eden, and then they got kicked out, and then
hadn't it?
and then all of a
Right?
sudden, then it was the there's the flood. You need to go back to the garden for a while because whoops, there's a flood. And then they
when
went back and they got wiped out again.
but when they got back, it was all nasty and everything, and so it wasn't the garden anymore. But you know, what a heck of a story, eh? You know,
Yes.
So
yeah.
It keeps reminding me when we find these stories and read them and share them with you all, in that, you know, the Christian religion and folks from native folks is their tradition and stories are a lot related, instead of being these savages who don't know anything, you know, to wait a minute, their stories have floods and creation, and you know, and so they may, in this particular one, it's the medicine man, it's the medicine that creates, right?
Yep.
The great medicine created the earth. I mean, whether God or whatever, but the great medicine. Wow. I mean, okay.
Yeah, interesting. So, I wonder what medicine translated in Cheyenne means. You know?
Well, in the universe, anything that we may need is considered the great medicine. You know, it helps us to produce and grow and learn and gain knowledge, and you know, and so the great medicine, the great knowledge, the great creator. Okay. So, but they all share the same moniker, I guess, as like creator. So, but I like the way the great medicine. I'm like, you know, there's not really a God there. It's the great medicine, you know?
Yeah.
It's the universe.
Let's see. H-E. Oh, S-C-H-E-E-E. Okay. Okay, here, translations. Trying to I looked it up.
Looked what up?
Looking up translation Cheyenne to translation services. Oh, here. Well, they got a translator here. I'm just looking it up, seeing. Oh, Cheyenne to. Oh. Oh, we gotta go up to English. E for E. Oh, I don't want to sign up. Med. Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, I guess. Huh. Huh. I'm just looking at. See if okay, it's doing its thing. Oh, I guess I could share this with all of you guys. Oh, maybe not. Oh, they wanted documents and files, and you better. Oh, of course, it's set up for a. Yeah, of course. You want to translate that one word, you better pay the price.
Yep.
It's all about that. You want to pull a card?
Yeah, I'm sure will.
All right. All right. Sounds like a winner, winner, winner. Yep. It's about that time. And I'm like, well, I'll be on call this week. So it's going to be, I want to get to bed. You know, I might have a long week.
Yep.
You never know.
No, you never know.
Yes.
That's for true.
I know that the last time I was on call, I was good. I made it through the whole thing. The day after I got off on call, then everything went to heck. And the next guy he was out every freaking night.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. I just missed it by the hair of my chinny chin, you know. Lucky Smith says, join the system. Chloe's in the house. Where's Chloe? I didn't see Chloe. Oh, there's Chloe. Chloe's in the house. And Linda Brooks, I'm having deja vu. Linda Brooks, we got to get you on this show one of these days too. Maybe you'd like to come on the Indian show and tell us a little bit about and join us as a guest sometime. We got to get you on. I got her. I think I got her for sometime in April, maybe. So she's going to come on for a show, and we're going to get to meet Linda Brooks on the Milky Way Soul Tribe show on Saturday night, one of these days. Of course, this weekend we got Delaney Pearl Jones, and don't forget, everybody, on Thursday night we got Isby. He'll be on, and we're going to do the King Og book. We're going to read some more out of there. So, there's Desert Rose. Yes, Desert Rose, you are late, but you're just in time for the card reading. So, go figure that. Yes, I know, Linda. Yeah, April 30th. That's the day. I just couldn't remember the day. I know it was in April, but yeah, I got to email you back. Sorry, I'm a little lacking. I'm working. You know, I working all the time. That's all I ever do. Working. And if I ain't working, I'm studying. You know, it takes a lot to put these programs together. You know, I put a little effort into it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. So what do we got tonight?
It's a buggy night.
A buggy night.
Dragonfly. Spider. And an upside down butterfly.
Oh, it's all bugs tonight.
All bugs. And
which one?
The spider's right side up, but the other two are upside down. So anyway, let's start with Dragonfly, which is illusion. I got to put my other glasses on. Got to have my bifocals. Dragonfly breaks illusions, brings visions of power. No need to prove it. Now is the hour. Know it, believe it. Great Spirit intercedes, feeding you, blessing you, filling all your needs. Dragonfly is illusion. Dragonfly medicine is of the dream time and the illusionary facade, illusionary facade we accept as physical reality. The iridescence of dragonfly's wings reminds us of the colors not found in our everyday experience. Dragonfly's shifting of color, energy, form, and movement explodes into the mind of the observer, bringing vague memories of a time or place where magic reigned. Some legends say the dragonfly was once dragon, and that dragon had scales like butterfly's wings. The dragon was full of wisdom and flew through the night, bringing light with it, with its fiery breath. The breath of dragon brought forth the art of magic and the illusion of changing form. Then dragon got caught up in its own facade. Coyote tricked dragon into changing form, and the shape of its new body became like dragonflies. In accepting the challenge to prove its power and magical prowess, dragon lost its power. Dragonfly is the essence of the winds of change, the messages of wisdom and enlightenment, and the communications from the elemental world. they're telling me this is important, the elemental world. This elemental world is made up of the tiny spirits of the plants and of the elements of the air, earth, fire, and water. In essence, this world is full of natural spirits. If Dragonfly has flown into your cards today, you may have forgotten to water your plants. On another level, you may need to give thanks to the foods you eat for sustaining your body. On the psychological level, it may be time to break down the illusions that you have held that restrict your actions or ideas. Dragonfly medicine always beckons you to seek out the parts of your habits which need to be changed. Have you put on too much weight, or have you started to look like a scarecrow? If you feel the need for change, call on Dragonfly to guide you through the mists of illusions. Now, this card is upside down big time. Are you trying to prove to yourself or someone else that you have power? Are you caught in an illusion that weakens your true feelings or minimizes your abilities? If so, you may have contracted Dragonfly dive bombing. Is this the final crash and burn for some pipe dream that had no real purpose? Look within and feel the sense of self-energy within yourself. Notice if it is ebbing, and find the point in time when you were deluded into believing that you would be happier if you changed because someone else wanted you to. That's a big deal these days, okay? And so the main message in this for a lot of folks is that, have you convinced yourself that you're happier because somebody else wanted you to be? Misery is a prime clue that you lost your will and personal validity when you bought into someone else's idea of who or what you should be, their idea of what you should be, not yours. The illusion was that you would be happier if you did it their way. In forfeiting what you know is right and true for you personally, you give away your power. It is time for you to take it back. Follow Dragonfly to the place inside your body where magic is still alive, and drink deeply of its power. This strength belongs to you. It is the power of becoming the illusion. This ability is ever-changing and contains within it the knowledge that you are creating it all. But the big part of this is that if you find you're miserable because somebody else wanted you to do something, you need to take your power back. Okay? So next, spider that eats all these insects I'm reading about. Spider is weaving. Spider, weaving webs of delight, weave me a peaceful world, carrying creation in your web, waiting to be unfurled. Spider wove the web that brought humans the first picture of the alphabet. The letters were part of the angles of her web. Deer asked Spider what she was weaving and why all the little lines looked like symbols. Spider replied, "Why, dear, it is time for Earth's children to learn to make records of their progress in their Earth walk." Deer answered Spider, "But they already have pictures that show through symbols the stories of their experiences." "Yes," Spider said, "but the Earth's children are growing more complex and their future generations will need to know more. The ones to come won't remember how to read the petroglyphs." So it was that Spider wove the first primordial alphabet as she had woven the dream of the world that had become manifest. Spider's dream of the physical world had come to fruition millions of years before. Spider's body is made like the number 8, consisting of 2 lobe-like parts connected at the waist, and 8 legs. Spider is a symbol for the infinite possibilities of creation. Her 8 legs represent the 4 winds of change and the 4 directions on the medicine wheel. Spirit weaves the webs of fate for those who get caught in the web and become her dinner. This is similar to humans who get caught in the web of illusion in the physical world. Now, what was the last card I pulled? Illusion.
Yeah.
So, spider, how is this related? Right here. This is similar to humans who get caught in the web of illusion in the physical world and never see beyond the horizon into other dimensions. The web of fate also represents a wheel of life, which does not include any alternatives or solutions. It is typically human to get caught in the polarity of good or bad fortune without realizing that we can change it at any time. If we are not decisive enough about changing our lots in life, we may end up being consumed by our fears and limitations. So spiders warning about illusions too and getting caught in the web of it. So that's a really good message for people, because a lot of new stuff out there, a lot of old stuff they trying to convince people is, we're all going to die again or some more, or something. And
Yep,
so
that is true.
try to see through that illusion and don't make it your world. And the last one is butterfly upside down. Now, butterfly is, I can tell you because we've read it several times, it's all about the transformation. Wait, I'm sorry, I thought it was 6. It's 9, it was upside down.
Oh, wow.
Talk about being silly, eh?
Yeah.
But number nine. Butterfly that flutters in the morning light. You have known many forms before ere you took flight. The power that butterfly brings us is akin to the air. It is the mind and the ability to know the mind or to change it. It is the art of transformation. Now, we just talked about illusion from 2 different sources, and now we're talking about the art of transformation. So illusion, you get out of the illusion and you transform into something else, okay? To use butterfly medicine, you must absolutely observe your position in the cycle of self-transformation. Like butterfly, you are always at a certain station in your life's activities. You may be at the egg stage, which is the beginning. This is the stage at which an idea is born, but has not yet become a reality. The larva stage is the point at which you decide to create the idea in the physical world. The cocoon stage involves going within, doing or developing your project or your idea or your aspect of your personality. The final stage of transformation is leaving the chrysalis and birth. This last step involves sharing the colors and joy of your creation with the world. So looking at butterfly, you look at where you are in life. Is this the egg stage where you just have a thought or an idea? Is this the larva stage? Do I need to make a decision? Is this the cocoon stage? Am I developing and doing something to make my idea a reality? Or is this the birth stage? Am I sharing my completed idea? By asking yourself these questions, you will discover how butterfly is relating to you at this moment. So only you can decide at which stage you are. But if you will stop and do a little bit of self, comparison, you'll find out, well, I'm kind of at the egg stage with this. Well, wait a minute. No, I've actually moved beyond that. So it's good to know where you are as far as your ideas or plans or whatever. Now, this was upside down. If you have drawn butterfly reversed, your lesson is a simple one. There is a need for change in your life that you are not recognizing. This could be a possible need for freedom, for a vacation, or for a new job. You may believe that change is too difficult, and you may rule it out to preserve the comfort of your old habits. They want me to read that part again. You may believe that change is too difficult, and that you may rule it out. In other words, you don't want any change in order to preserve the comfort of your old habits. In other words, you just don't want to give it up, right? But in ruling out any possibility of change, you are saying that the courage of butterfly has been lost. Why does butterfly represent courage? Because there is a totally different world outside of the cocoon, where the known realities of the chrysalis are no longer applicable. This new world demands that you use your newfound wings and fly. Thus are the messages from spirits this week. But being aware of illusions, somebody trying to trick you, talk you into something that you really shouldn't do, and spider warning you to not get caught in the web, and butterfly, make sure that you know where you are in your development of things. It could be a thought, it could be anything, but another good message without trying to, that fits, that works.
Absolutely good message. I like it. I like it. I mean, and that's the thing too. And it's amazing how the cards all line up and tell you the same thing. It's like, any other time you'd have, animals, and today it was all, insect, bugs, and it was all the
they were
same.
all insects. Like, we've done cards for several times, so that's never happened. I mean,
yeah, and that's the thing, and it all bugs, and it had the same this message too, this magical message. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. We got a few other people who joined in. Scratch is in the house, and Gaza Cav, I see, joined us all the way from Australia, which I assume it's probably early morning over there. AF joined us too. There you go. Let's see. Amber Dawn Rising's in the house. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Oh yeah, it's nice when people drop in and say hi. And she was here just in time for the cards. And Deborah Sloan. Oh yeah. Anyway, well, that was a good message. And I appreciate you pulling the cards. You always do such a good job on figuring out how it is. And I don't know how you do it. Just vibes. I got to get busy. I got this. I really got to get on this. I got this Moonology card deck, and I haven't really even done much with it. But one of these days I'm going to have to start drawing cards and just have a whole show of drawing cards for people just to get in the mood of it.
There you go.
That's what I'm going to have to do. It's just got to be the right time. I gotta do the cards. I remember what Nina told me. I gotta do them I gotta sleep with them or something, or make them mine or whatever, and then they will talk to me, something or other on that order. But anyway, so what about you? Do you got another show coming up tonight after this one, or?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do a little one, because I haven't I've been really busy here at the farmstead, working on trucks and things and vehicles and making trails in the woods and stuff. So, and trying to plant stuff for, because it's spring.
Yes.
But
yes.
yeah, I haven't been on to chat with folks in a while. And it just seems like there's a word out there, catalyst. And they're a catalyst. And the reason I bring it up, because I've been working with my catalytic converter, okay? But in the idea, though, that the other day, as I'm fussing and fuming with the dang thing, that, the catalyst, there are so many catalysts in this world. I mean, somebody can trigger you with a couple of words, and that triggers you, that catalyst of the words springs you into some kind of action, or it makes you mad, or it makes you happy, or it makes you sad. And so it's going to sort of be around that.
Yeah, there you go. And
because of my dang catalytic converter. Blame it on my truck.
absolutely. There you go.
Anyway.
Well, you know, when it's spring, it's time for planting. I know I was out rototilling in the garden. I got all my seeds ready. I got some blueberry plants I want to plant. They're sitting in the boxes just to itch. And I got seed potatoes and onion sets and all kinds of good stuff to put out. I know Gaza Cav, everybody go over there and check him out. Gaza Cav's backyard. He had another video on gardening and stuff like that. So you go right over there and check him out. Remember to go over to Isby Speaks and check his new channel out. Hopefully he's going to have some good time here or something. And we're going to do a live on his site. Plus he's going to post the Lost Books of King Og on there too. So subscribe to him. Like it says, you know, that's the least we can do for everybody out here. And go check David Null out. He'll be on in a little while. He's going to probably grab himself a cup of coffee, rest up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. And it'll be another long night for you late night owls.
Let's see, it's 11:23 p.m. now. So give me 30 minutes, y'all, and I'll top of the hour kind of thing. So
yeah, there you go. And me, I got to get to bed. So anyway, remember everybody, be the frequency you want to receive. I love y'all.
Cheers,
peace, everybody.